Yo, 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 what is going on, IK fam? And I'm back again today with another dope Infinity Kingdom video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a update to Server 36. We are now currently, I think we're at about 2 weeks in right now. Let me see what my update is. 16. So 16 days in right now to S36, and I'm really, again, I can't tell you how excited I am about how S36 is panning out. And we're going to talk about kind of give you an overview, really just kind of explain and show you kind of everything that is going on right now on the server. From the last update, right, we ended up finishing our City Siege event, which now we are, oh gosh, let me scroll in here so I can show you. Let's see where we're looking at. And now the next big one is really going to be Supreme Alliance, right, which every server has to start out in. And ours is going to be ending here at around the 3-week mark for the first 21 days, as most servers do. So we have about 4 days left for ours right now. So that's kind of what we're prepping. Now, for City Siege, we decided that we were going to try and get the most green gems possible for our players. And so, big shout out to Manbeer Pig, because he had helped me out a lot with this, where we put together a sheet and he had figured out the logistics for how we can get the most amount of green gems from the event. And that was whether we went with like a top 16, a top 20, a top 24 version, where we saw how many gems we could get at each tier level. And so we ended up, I believe we settled on a top 20 list. And for the most part, almost all of them did get their payouts. Now we're preparing for Supreme Alliance, which is a little bit different because it's just based on total faction power. And so we're working right now with it. So the last update I gave you guys on like the PvP scenario, right, is that we have the majority of alliances, right? Let's take a look at the boards real quick. So you can see, last time I think we showed you for a point in time, now we've had 2 big member cap increases, right? We're working on member cap 100 for Alliance Level 5 currently, where you're seeing some of the additional power spikes that are occurring right now. Typically that always happens. It's pretty standard anytime you get a new 10 cap bump up in player capacity. But for the most part, right, still about a 2 mil power gap between 1 and 5. Again, you'll start seeing that shorten once, I believe, 3, 4, and 5, or 4 and 5 end up boosting their caps. And then you can see that we have, GADF, FS, NWOS, OSY, right? Again, all very close in power, right? Still a lot of really good activity, right? You can see even up to the top 15, and then you'll see about a 1 mil power difference, right? And everything is still pretty active. Again, powers are really close. You don't really see super significant drop-offs where there's mil gaps that are going down. So this really just shows you that you have really good consistent activity, even if the players themselves aren't extremely powerful. It at least shows that you have people playing. Now, it could be for a number of reasons. Maybe it's new players. Maybe you have a smaller amount of overall active players as you kind of go down in the list one by one. But the fact that we're not seeing extreme power gaps as far as going down, where you're seeing kind of the incremental slow decline of powers from Alliance to Alliance numbers, to me is still fantastic. Now, the last thing we talked about is, I think we had showed off where there was, now again, keep in mind, the majority of the players and alliances in the server are also in our Discord server, which is fantastic for our S36 section. And let me see if I can show you guys a little bit of information here. Let me just do a couple little Marcus Reds here so I can show off some of this information. And let's do this. Cool. So let me show you guys this real quick, and I'm gonna have to skadoosh, I think, this thing over. Oh, where's my nice little tab? Cool. So let's come over here and show you guys some info. So this is something we set up. As you could see, right, we have a couple different sections here, but the main one is our S36 section. And we have an alliance directory on here. And that basically lists off, right, we started doing this on day 1 of the server. And this just shows you all the alliances right now that we have a representative in the Discord for. And you can see, it's a lot. Right, these alliances, I want to say from when we initially placed it about a week and a half ago, right, these were the top 30 alliances or so, about top 25, 30 alliances in the server. And you could see, with the exception of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, right, we have about 20, 25 of them that are in here, along with their officers, and then we have a lot of players. I think there's almost about 250 to 275 players right now on the server side, and hopefully more once we start getting access to more tools. But this is just, in my opinion, I think amazing, right? This is something that is absolutely fantastic. I think every server really should be working on these things because it helps you organize information, it helps you get leaders involved, helps you get officers involved, and it's just a big win around. It also helps you with retaining player activity, right? When you can have that many leaders and officers involved in your server and they want to be a part of the conversation and the engagement for where the server's going. Now, the other update outside of the goodies, right, of course, is, I know we talked about last time, I think we had, at the time, there was, gosh, who was it? It was Roy, it was KIP, KIP, and then GA, which you also saw there on the boards where we were showing the rankings, right? So we had those three alliances that were, again, keep in mind, it doesn't mean, and when I say those alliances, it was really a small group of players within each of those alliances that was just going around and just doing PvP and attacking. Since that time, they did, I guess the groups did a condension from 3 alliances to 2. So Kip fell off, and then Roy kind of picked up the slack there. And then, because players were leaving those alliances or dropping in activity, they merged again from a few of the players left in Roy, and they joined GA, right? So you kind of had them condense the remaining small group of players for actives that they had. So now there's about, I want to say, maybe 15 players that are more or less, right? It could be maybe up to 20, but I would say about 15 from what I've seen so far that are still active as far as really actively hunting or kind of in a semi-active capacity where, you know, if they see someone, they'll go and attack them, right, no matter who it is on the map. And so I think some of the great things that we've been doing, and this is something I've talked about before, I'll probably make a separate video on, right, but I'll touch on briefly. The great thing about having a small group of players that really want to PvP is that it allows for your server to, one, band together against a common goal, and it also allows for players to get a lot of early honor for their nobility rank. And we've talked about this a lot before, about the importance of nobility. And that's because if you don't have, like, again, count 2, as we've talked about before, is ideally where you want to get to. That's the bubble nobility position, or title we should say. Because once you get to count 1, right after you get past the 5 mil, right, then you start getting the depreciation for honor. Which means you have to keep fighting because there's minimums that are in place. Otherwise, the honor just decreases and it'll put you back down to count 2. So trying to get to this 5 mil honor point, right, or at least as high as you can, is really a blessing because of just the passive, excuse me, let me go back here, right, because of the passive benefits that you get from it, right? Let's just take a look. You get plus 550 troop number, right, that's for each immortal, right? So you're looking at additive, what are we looking at, 2200, right? Then you have the passive strength, intelligence, agility, physique, and aptitude, right? These are all 7.5% is a good number. And when you're able to get up there, especially when you're able to have the highest average amount of players with a count 2 level or close to, right? That is just going to set your server up way more for when you eventually get to SVS or even for AVA, right? And as we've always talked about, right, for veterans of Kingdom Builders, that's endgame, right? Stuff that's happening in your server internally up until that point, right, depending on how you manage it, can either be a blessing or it can be a deficiency, right? Again, examples we've given before have been, you know, if you're in a state of civil war, or if you're just fighting, you know, with faction versus faction, or if you have, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 full alliances, or even just full alliances that are actually fighting against people in the server, right? If you have like rogue whales that you just can't do anything about, again, you know, in our server situation, which I think is really kind of the sweet spot scenario, is you have a group of people that started out mainly as like leads and officers in these 3 alliances, and they basically just told all their players to go out and fight. Unfortunately, that is not how you rally people to go and fight for a cause in which, one, you're the only ones who semi-believe in. And so, right, that's where you kind of start getting the non-believers that'll drop off. That's basically what we saw happening, and then players left, joined other alliances, and then some just stopped playing from those alliances because they just didn't want to sit there and fight all day. Now, on the opposite end, right, depending on how their perspective shifted, you could say that the big benefit is that if they left those alliances and they started fighting against them, not only would they be a part of the majority, because keep in mind, pretty much every alliance on our top 32 board, with the exception of, I'd say, 1 to 2 currently, where are really aligned with the server's goals and its ideals going forward, and they want to be a part of that. Now, again, that's why it's a blessing, because let's say that you didn't have any rogue players, or you didn't have any alliances that were just wanting to go and do whatever they wanted, right? You would have to strictly depend on having your farm accounts attack your mains to really honor farm efficiently, or waiting for kill event to come up to do it. But the fact that you have 1 to 2, 1 to 3, a few alliances, some players in those that are kind of declaring war on the server. I mean, man, every server, in my opinion, I really think, I don't know if I should say should have that, but it is a blessing if you are able to band together the majority to then take advantage of the players that are just feeding you honor like you're in a buffet in Las Vegas and they just say, hey, you can have whatever you want. Avi, I'm going for the bacon wrapped shrimp. So, again, this is why I say that, right, it is really a good thing. And though we've talked about this before, right, where we had heard some players had came over to S36 to kind of wanting to cause disruption and for whatever else they really wanted to do, I think they just really fell short on that. And I think when you don't have a good understanding of like game mechanics and how what you're doing can actually in turn benefit the people that you're trying to disrupt, it's kind of voided at that point. And so, like I said, really, if anything, I just hope they stay. As long as they can. Really, if they were to round up 1 or 2 more alliances, man, that'd be great. Because then we could just have our 20 alliances just be feeding honor all the time. It is. I cannot tell you how amazing it is, and almost how understated it is when you have the opportunity to do that, while at the same time taking minimal overall losses. Right? It's 15 to 20 people that made decisions for a group of players when they didn't take into account what those players wanted to do. This comes down to the whole kingdom builder psychology. It's another video I'll talk about, but when players come in and they play these games, right, they are really wanting to enjoy the game. And especially if they're new or they're looking to try and develop their accounts, most of the time, the majority of players, right, and this is the majority of your free-to-play base, like 99%, are not going to want to sit there and fight all day long, right? And if they do fight, they definitely want to be on more of the winning/leaning winning side. So again, these are just some things to consider and to take into account because they are important. And outside of that, though, like I said, we're looking forward to Supreme Alliance. We're looking forward to when COR Round 1 comes up, which is where we're going to have an amazing opportunity to educate and inform the majority of the server. And like I said, I really feel as though we're in this really nice sweet spot right now in S36. And we have a lot of players that really believe in what the goals and the projects are. And I think our leaders that we have so far have been doing a good job. And, we've been really organized and I would say very structured in a lot of areas that we've been taking advantage of, not only on the Discord, but together. And the fact that we've had so many people convert over to the Discord from in-game, at least from the promotional measures and steps we've taken, is again, awesome to see. So I'm excited. And as always, guys, I know we're only 16 days old. Remember, migration does open up on day 90. So if you are a player, if you're a group, and you're interested in coming to S36, as always, you can contact me. I'll be leading our migration/recruitment team along with a few others. We'll probably do some videos on that later, but you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Discord, join our Discord channel as well, or Discord server. And as always, if you guys enjoy the content, sub to the channel, give us a thumbs up, hit the like button, which is also the same thing as saying thumbs up, and hit that notification bell to get updates on when we have new videos coming out. Until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace!